Welcome. In this video, we're going to take a look at Lego bricks that you may end up buying at thrift stores, maybe in bags something like these, or in a container that you get off a for sale group that's online or something like that. And you have to start it out. Quite often, when you buy Lego used, it is mixed with a lot of other third-party brand bricks. Uh, Everything that's Lego compatible, plus some that aren't even Lego compatible, or there may be other toys thrown in as well. But this will maybe give you some idea of what the various types of bricks that I usually find when I sort through my Lego buys, and how to identify them. Some of them are fairly obvious, but some of them there might be some things you learn about identifying other brands, at least, so that you can at least group the brands of bricks together and lot them up as well, maybe to donate back or to sell as well. So we'll start with this. So the brands of bricks commonly found when sorting Lego. Mega Bloks is probably the largest one here in Canada, at least. It's also known as Mega Construx. They kind of rebranded themselves in the last few years, and there's older and newer versions of these in different quality. They're a lot less consistent quality than the standard Lego bricks. So they have different ways of identifying themselves, putting their logos on the bricks and those kind of things. So the way they usually do it is, in the older bricks, is they put Mega Bloks embedded in the middle of the studs, kind of like this one here, or these guys. And here's a better close-up of what it looks like. So that's kind of what it looks like on a decent brick. And then they started moving to embedding their logo in a circle in between the studs on the newer style bricks that the part of the Mega Construx, and the newer ones that have been out in the last few years. And if they don't do that, then sometimes they also end up doing it on a stud where they have a Mega Bloks embedded in a circle on one of the studs, usually only one of the two studs here. If it's a two stud brick kind of thing showing up. And then for those ones that don't have any studs or any good place to put a logo or their name, they will do something like this, where they have AM and then a part number, and sometimes they'll have it made in China as well. Here's another example of one where it's AM. So if you see anything with AM that has no other distinguishing features on it, studs or something like that, you know that that's part of a Mega Bloks set. So anything like that is identifiable as Mega Bloks parts. And the next one we commonly run into, the brand, is Hasbro, and they also make the Kreo blocks and figures, which and make kind of a deal with Transformers. So they make all the Transformer minifigures are Kreo brand, and they look slightly different than the Lego minifigs. They have different arms that move in a different way and different shaped figures. And sometimes the blocks have Hasbro and a part number with several digits. So here's an example of, here's a Hasbro part. As you can see, it's very small. You can barely read that without any magnification. So there is Hasbro name on this side as well. So I got one that's zoomed in a bit. So here you can see Hasbro is up here, and then they have their numbers down here. So this identifies this as Hasbro. If it's they make fairly good quality bricks, so sometimes they kind of look like Lego bricks if they don't have any obvious studs or anything on them, if they're smooth on the top. But if you look, and sometimes you'll see the Hasbro and the names on the bottom, but usually need some kind of magnifier to see that. And on the top, they kind of look like this. Usually they just have smooth studs, which a lot of the off-brand ones do, and sometimes they'll have one stud that has the inner part hollowed out here or recessed in. So, but they're not the only ones that do that. But this is what the front of a Hasbro brick commonly looks like. And the next brand we have is Construx. Now, Construx make their own building sets that are very unique and use rods and connectors, but they also make bricks that are with holes in them that work with rod pieces, but are also compatible with standard Lego bricks, including Lego. So Construx, these are basically Construx pieces with the rods and the various connector pieces, some semicircular connector pieces, some circular connector pieces. They also have wheels, tires, motors, quite a lot of different pieces to build sets with. But they also make these bricks here that are like Lego and compatible with Lego, but they have Construx on the studs, and they even tell you what size the brick is. The 16, basically 16 studs on this brick, and they have holes in the middle, which these pins will insert into, and then they can be used with the other connecting pins with the connectors, and basically can combine bricks with the rods and connectors to build different structures. And another one I ran into recently was McFarlane Toys. Now they are doing a lot of the Walking Dead figures and buildings and those kind of things, so they make them fairly artistically, more artistically complex than Lego with the different colors and textures and things. But the blocks themselves, a lot of them are still Lego compatible. They add some different features that are more lifelike maybe than Lego pieces with the fences and things like that, but a lot of the blocks themselves are Lego compatible. With sets like this, their figures and vehicles and things like that are more sophisticated than Lego and look more realistic. But the blocks themselves look like this from the back, so they're kind of like Lego plates. And then these ones have holes in them, which then these grass pieces can insert into, as you've seen in the previous pictures, where there was grass growing, so that you can make fairly realistic greenery and landscapes. So that's the McFarlane type. And the next one is laser pegs. So these are compatible with regular Lego, but they're transparent and they have battery-powered lights that go inside them. So, example of a laser peg set is this guy here. So you can see they're transparent bricks, but they use some of the same spacing and same basic style as some of the greenery, as you can see on the Lego pieces here. Their minifigs are a little different, have jointed arms and legs, so that's usually a requirement for anything that's somewhat Lego compatible. So they really want the figures to be different, so they make these other companies make unique minifigures would compete with the standard Lego minifigs or get confused with them. And the laser pegs are identifiable by LP, usually only on one stud, so you kind of have to look for that. The rest of the studs usually don't have anything on them, but if you see an LP in a translucent brick, that's chances are it's from a laser peg set. And the next one is Zuru Max. Now they're basically an Asian clone block that tried to duplicate Lego fairly authentically, and even the minifigs at one time, but now their minifigs now look a little different, as we saw before at the other brands, and they had to, because Lego had actually sued them for copyright infringement. One of the things they had to do was make their minifigs look different than standard Lego minifigs. So the Zurus come in a set like this, so it's much like the Lego or Mega Bloks sets where they come in their own container, and these are even sold by some of the more mainstream retailers out there. But the blocks themselves look very much like Lego. And they have Max on the top instead of Lego on the top of the stud. And here's a slightly better picture of one of those. You can see the Max, and they also have the one odd stud here too, which is kind of common for the clone brands that try and duplicate Lego. They sometimes do something unique with one stud. And there's many other cheap compatible bricks that are sold in dollar stores or other discount retailers under many names. Make It Blocks, Block Tech, My Blocks. Probably if you go to your dollar store, you'll be able to see at least a couple different brands sitting there selling for $1.25 or $1.50 or whatever the minimum charge is. The dollar stores now charge for these items, but they're basically lower quality and not as durable, I would say. And sometimes the colors are a little bit off, but they're basically fairly Lego compatible other than that. So, and they also have no identifiable logos. Most of them are just smooth on the top of the studs, no logos, names, or symbols on them. And if they do have minifigures, again, they usually look different than the Lego brand name minifigs. And there's other non-Lego compatible blocks too. Many of those you'll find when you're sorting out, besides the Connects pieces that you may find amongst the Lego. But there's some that are totally different, like with larger, differently spaced studs that don't fit normal Lego blocks. And I have an example of one of those here, which is Lego blocks or Loc Blocs. And these were made in the 70s and 80s as well. And you can see that they have a different spacing, and even the stud height is a little different, so they don't fit with Lego blocks, but they, as far as a toy, they perform similarly, I guess, but they're just not compatible with, can't use them to build with Lego blocks. You can use them to build with themselves, to build similar structures and block-like structures, but that's about it. And there's even smaller blocks out there called nano blocks, and they are about a quarter of the size of a normal Lego block. And there's a few of these sets out there that are usually sold under different names as well, but they're commonly known as nano blocks, and they're very small, very tiny blocks that you can use to build structures. So those are the common ones that I usually find when I'm sorting out Lego. So I guess that's it for this video. Hopefully that'll help you out, and hopefully you learned something about finding and sorting out Lego blocks and the other kinds of blocks.